By now, you might have already realized that making poor decisions in Wartales can have severe consequences for your progression. So in today's video, I'm going to share what I think is an awesome starting run to cover basically all the essentials you need to pick up during your first hour in the game, from interacting the right way with certain characters. So you can, for example, unlock the slavery. Many people were frustrated about ruining this pretty much all their own save. I'm also going to include some items which you should definitely pick up early game, which are going to make things so much easier. I've been using this exact same run since many months ago in the early access, and trust me, it will get you all the essentials basically to have an epic head start in the game. And you can do this every single time, which I totally recommend. So let's get right to it. Alright, so first off, we're gonna have to choose our destiny. For the people who are new to the channel, welcome. I made a video in which I share everything you need to know about Wartales, an ultimate beginner guide, which you can find in the top right of the screen. In this video, we're gonna do a similar run, while I'm gonna go over all this a little bit faster. If you don't want to miss out anything, you should definitely check out my other video. Oh, and one last thing, Shiro Games, a big thanks for making this video series possible. I'm having a lot of fun rediscovering the game and share pretty much everything you need to know about it. Made quite some videos for it already since release, but if you are new to the game, be sure to check out my link in the description. Any questions about the game are very welcome in the comment section, but let's get started. So first we're gonna have to choose our destiny. I recommend you to go with apprentice friends looking for an adventure, as this gives you a very balanced starter crew. With a second option, I go with our excellent at slap games to get extra 10% critical strike damage. And for the third option, I go with less carrying capacity, as you can basically counter this debuff if you take extra horses. Well, for the starting options, you want to go with the Tiltron County as starting region, as it's very important for this specific run. Combat difficulty and survival difficulty on expert, while save mode should be on limited. I think the best experience for the game. A very brief overview of our crew customization. We've got a ranger with extra dex, extra crit chance, as well as wrath. We have a swordsman with extra strength, extra crit chance, a sword and shield. We have a brute with a mace and shield, so 2 tanks. This one though has constitution and strength. We have our archer with extra dexterity and crit chance. And last but not least, we have our horse Roach with more carrying capacity with stocky as well as constitution. Alright, the beginning. This was recorded earlier. I'm gonna fast forward everything 5 times. Just talk about the essentials you need to know. Alright, so what you're gonna do after resolving the first combat is basically pick up the resources right here and instantly head towards the plateau stables, as right here you can interact with some barrels and also unlock the first profession, thievery. This is awesome to give your rangers and archers some extra dex, while it will also give you access to some extra food. And I recommend you to just steal a couple items right here to raise your suspicion to like 20-30. Don't overdo this, as it will complicate the run. But after leaving the stables, you also want to pick up the items inside the barrel right here. And after you've explored Stromcap, you will unlock your very first knowledge point, which you want to spend in run. Will make things so much easier, so much more efficient. The second one, of course, career plans, but what we're gonna do first is visit Stromcap, talk to the emissary, and pick up a couple jobs or contracts right here. If you're lucky, you will find a free Mount Altis tower as contract in it first, which I definitely recommend you to pick up, as we're basically gonna walk past it during this run. I'm not even sure if I actually did it myself. Okay, there we go. After that, you also wanna check out the companions in the inn. Possibly they have some pretty good stats, so you can recruit them right off the bat. And after that, you also want to visit the blacksmith, so you can pick up smithing, as this will give you some extra strength for your tanks. Gonna be awesome one to have from the get-go. And after leaving this place, purchasing a couple raw materials, we also want to go to the apothecary, as here you can pick up the alchemy skill and also unlock some extra dex for your characters. Then, if you walk to the east, you can start tinkering, make a couple fishing hooks with your character. So once again, you pick up a new profession, make a couple hooks, and here we spend our second knowledge point in career plans. So we're gonna do a little bit of fishing right here. But after that, you wanna walk towards the southeast, as on this road, you will find a couple more resources, some wood and iron right here. But there we also have the Tiltron jail. And voila, we get our third knowledge point already. already, which I place in endurance run, as this one is gonna make the running even more efficient. But of course, if you really want to go with something else, that's fine. But run and career plans should be your first picks. Restoration and rationing are also very good. Anyways, here we find some more fishing schools which we can interact with. After catching all the fish, we're gonna visit the Tiltron jail and we're gonna purchase all the chains. So we can basically start capturing outlaws and deserters. It's gonna be an awesome source of income, so you can counter all the wages you have to pay in the early game, while all the food we've found and fished up basically with the fishing can be used right here to do a little bit of resting. We're gonna catch some more fish with Ari right here. But after you've done that, you wanna basically make your way towards the east, as right here you can pick up a blacksmith. If you break the luck for this character, you can basically recruit him. Take him with your party. While you want to bring this guy to Stromcap, as you will get a lot of raw materials if you do so. But now we're basically in the Altus Plateau, for which we've already picked up a contract. We're just gonna gather all the resources right here, while it's also recommended to craft a python. We can do that with the rope we picked up earlier in the stables, as well as the blacksmith tower. But 2 pythons is gonna be enough to get back to the prison very quickly. So while we were crafting this, we also made a new knowledge point, but we're gonna place 1 python right there. Go to the Mount Altus Tower. But once you've resolved combat, I definitely recommend you to go with Valorous Support as first passive abilities on your ranged characters, as well as your rangers, as they won't be able to one-shot enemies in the early game. So it's going to be a lot more interesting to focus on getting Valor points simply when you're ending your turn. You can always re-specialize later, while for the attribute points, you won't be able to reroll these, which I cover in my ultimate guide. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra movement speed. And yeah, after that, you can also break all the lucks in this little tower to get your hands on a lot of treasure, including some knowledge points. So more knowledge, definitely interesting to focus on, while we also get a lot of food right here, which is gonna help big time. Anyways, after picking up all the treasure, we're gonna have to rest. We also managed to capture 2 bad guys. I was a little bit unlucky during this combat. If you can pick up 3, that would be awesome, but 3 would be the maximum, as in the Tiltron jail, you can only put this amount. We're also gonna throw some snacks on the fire. Unfortunately, I forgot to also assign my blacksmith to the campfire for extra happiness. That's not a big deal. We're just gonna use this first python, travel down back to the Tiltron jail basically to interact with it and hand over the prisoners. So already get yourselves a nice amount of coins. So after leaving the prison, we have over 200 crowns already, so we can easily pay the wages of our companions. We didn't use any tools even, I think, to repair our armor, but what we're gonna do right now is walk to this specific crew, where we find some drunk bad guys, for which you can also find a contract, by the way. So after resolving the combat, my tank leveled up, for which I always pick Destroyer, as I think it's an awesome ability. And then we're gonna explore the Mount Altus salt mine. We're gonna persuade this guy so we can start mining. Definitely recommend you, by the way, to give your mining to a tank, as it will have extra constitution over the long term. Right here, you will also find a sack filled with salt, which I totally recommend you to steal, as you can basically launder this salt if you make some dishes with the cooking. Anyways, a little bit to the south, we have the Looter Farm, where you can do some lockpicking to get your hands on even more treasure. And this is also the place where you can pick up more hemp and also pick up the woodcutting profession. So we're gonna chop some logs right here. You can do even more stealing as well. Well, this is the place where I also discovered the Stromcap mill for the rationing, restoration, but you can always save a couple knowledge points for whatever you encounter. I mean, if you want to do a little bit of extra smithing, then you could save some for those first weapon and armor blueprints, or of course for cooking recipes. We're gonna quickly visit the Stromcap mill. And this is where you can pick up a lot more resources for cooking, and behind the barrel you can also find another secret knowledge book, while you also want to interact with Haggard right here. Give him a medicine and recruit him, as he is a pretty nice character. While The starting traits he comes with are random, and unfortunately I got hard working, so he gets more experience with professions. I think this is a pretty important one to pick up. Doesn't really matter what kind of stats he comes with, as you will need a tinkerer, and before that our tank was a tinkerer. Now we're also going to craft a cook pot so we can start cooking recipes. We're going to make our tank a cook right now instead of a miner, make some bread, which is going to make it very easy for us to survive those first days with extra snacks. We're also going to make some muttons. Another pretty interesting one to spend a knowledge point on early game are the saddlebags, as this one will basically increase the carrying capacity of your horses, and we're going to pick up a second one a little bit further during this run. And after our rest, we can go to this tower. You can do it if you want, while I just decided to pass on it and just keep walking towards this specific area, the Old Wilbert's sheepfold, as this is an awesome place to pick up a quest item pretty early, which you're gonna need for fishing, which basically allows you to catch more fish. So you want to interact with this lady, say yes. You can steal some goods right here as well, which I don't really recommend. So we're gonna just follow this lady into the forest and go to the Old Wilbert's fishery. Bam, another knowledge point. And you also don't want to catch fish right here. You first want to kill the lady. We'll get to that in a second. So this lady usually has some pretty sweet loot, while the most important thing right here is that if you accept the quest from this old dude, you will also get the fly. I do fly fishing in real life, so I thought it was a pretty cool thing implemented in the game. But what the fly does is basically increase your chances of getting more fish. So if we quickly check out the fishing minigame, you can see that we first caught one perch, the second one gave us 2 pike instead of 1, and the third one is also 1 fish. But that's 4 fish with 1 single hook. My fisherman on this specific save, after a little bit of progress, can catch 3 to 4 items with 1 single turn. So sometimes over 10 fish. So this is going to make it a lot easier to feed your crew. While right now we have a lot of knowledge points, and we also want to spend a couple of those in our pots. So we're just going to click on all this and get our hands on some extra upgrades right here. While the next thing you want to do is revisit Strumcap. Deliver the blacksmith to this dude, also complete our quest, which we basically did in the Altus Plateau. We already have over 500 crowns, so you can tell that this is already going pretty good. We're gonna pick up some more quests right here. Many people on the Discord recommended me to try out a spearman, so I did. Gonna have to be honest, in the end I got rid of him, but what I really think is nice about having a couple extra companions early game is that now they can also pick up some extra professions, and you need 7 companions for the essential professions, which I cover in my ultimate guide, by the way. But this is where I got access to an alchemist, which is pretty important to craft yourself some medicines early game. But after you've left Strumcap, you want to go to the north to the Tiltrin Lumber Mill, and this is where things get interesting, as many people think you have to kill Ines. I made a guide about making a lot of money in Wartales yesterday, which you can find at the top right of the screen, but you don't want to kill the lady right here. You just want to interact with the box on top. Then take this key, then go down, talk with these sad little dudes, get the knowledge book inside the chest right there. But after you've left the lumber mill, you will basically get attacked by Ines and her crew. You want to negotiate this. Then you're gonna have to pay a little bit of money as well to keep her satisfied. But after you've done that, you will gain some chains, and this will unlock a new mission in which you have to basically search for refugees. And if you capture those refugees, you can sell them for money, which is pretty OP. I didn't know about this earlier, but this is where we saved our progress and found our first group of refugees, which we started capturing. So as you can see, we caught 5 civilians, 5 prisoners, which we can now take to the north, back to the Tiltrin Lumber Mill, and we want to do this as quick as possible, otherwise the quest will fail. But I think the first dude handed over. Okay, yeah, she does already give us some money as well. I saw somebody commenting that the first one doesn't give you any cash, but it seems like it did from the get-go. So this brings us to a total of 477. Was kind of curious if they were all stuffed in the basement, but that was not the case. Make sure you rest after you've turned in your prisoners, because then it's going to cost less food as well. But here we're taking more abilities. And I was also overburdened, so I decided to go with the weighted training knowledge. We can also upgrade the cook pot right here, which is a pretty nice upgrade, as you will have a small chance to make dishes delicious. And if they are delicious, they will give you more food value. So this is where we picked up some wood, revisited Stromcap, decided to craft 2 targes, 2 much better shields for my tanks, as the wooden barrel lids they spawn with are pretty bad. Be sure to always make this minigame work, as they will give you better armor values, but in general, crafting weapons and armor is gonna make your squad much more powerful quickly. Also decided to craft some armor apparently, so I can give this of course to my characters, like the melee assassins. They are definitely super squishy with the Rex, but there we have it, the plateau stable. So if you pick up a new horse, you want to make sure it has stocky for extra carrying capacity. This one also came with base guard, which is not fantastic. Very important, if you pick up a horse at this specific stables, you want to be sure to talk to Tynic afterwards, as he will basically give you some free horseshoes. So what we're going to do right here is sell them instantly and equip the saddlebags, as I think it's a much better upgrade for your horses. You want to focus on that extra carrying capacity over a little bit of extra movement speed, because we're going to pick up a lot of items during this run. This is also where I placed a python. You will find out that in my game, I have pythons all over the place. It's going to make it much easier to travel to the southeast, to the mine, or of course travel away from the guard. If they find us, you can just quickly click on the python, escape from sticky situations, while right here we're also improving our paths a little bit. But this is 7 days in the game, basically what you should do in the first couple days, as we have hundreds of crowns, we have some contracts ready, we've got a lot of food, we can still survive for over 4 days. And right here I decided to also save the game and talk to this camp. This quest will send you into the Sinister Cave, where you're gonna have to deal with Bertram. You can also decide to side with the bad guys, but I think it's nicer to resolve combat against them. But after you've resolved combat, you will get some pretty sweet outlaw loot, which you could use to possibly upgrade your rangers, some new daggers and everything. But after you've done that, you want to talk to this dude, and very important, click on the body of Bertram as well, as there will be a key right here, which you can use to open up a chest in another camp, which we're going to visit in a second. We're also going to pick the lock right here to get our hands on even more treasure. So with that key from the mine, you want to revisit the guard outpost, as right here you will find a chest, which you can open with the key, get your hands on some pretty sweet loot, and then you're just going to leave everything behind. And after resolving combat with the piggies, we made our way to the Tiltrin jail, as right here we can turn in that outlaw which we caught inside the bandit lair, and of course sell all the other weapons and armor we don't need. But this is where I decided to save the game. Exactly 1 hour of playtime after 7 to 8 in-game days. We got our hands on 15 happiness, almost 300 influence, so you can do whatever you like. Recruit new mercenaries, spend those for career plans. We have quite some valor points. We have over 130 food for another 5 days of resting, 500 plus crowns, so you can tell that we are ready for the adventure. So this is where I decided to use the pythons to get up to the Altus Plateau once again, while you also want to visit this lumber camp as quick as possible, because right here you can chop wood but also steal some lumber, which is going to be awesome to craft your first longbows, upgrade your archers, but also camp equipment, as you're going to need a lot of wood to do so, which is very important. In the early days, you also want to focus on recruitment. You want to find the right mercenaries for your gang to get to, let's say, 7 mercenaries. I think that's the sweet spot. And yeah, to the east, this is where you will find more fishing, more resources, but also the Mount Altis Inn, where you will have, of course, more options to recruit new companions. So this is where you want to go to as quick as possible. Archer wasn't very good right here. So after resting in the inn, we're gonna grab all the resources around it, and we're not gonna go to the east via the woods. What you want to do is go up the hill, as right here with some nice resources, you can go to the other region, the swamp region basically, without having to go through the bandits border crossing. So you're just gonna visit your tinkerer table, craft a couple pythons, and then you can basically place them exactly right here. And this will allow you to travel down there. So now you can just pick up all the resources, explore the Ludern region without having to pay 200 crowns for that border pass. But if you make your way to the left right here, this is where you should also place a python to just make travel in the long term a lot easier, as over time all these resources right here will respawn, so you can just quickly climb all the different mountains. And this is where you can also pick up some nice goodies, some alcohol, and place a python to of course get to the Altus Plateau in a lot easier. It's otherwise pretty difficult to get to this place, but if you walk back to the south right here, this is where we can find another treasure. I also decided to resolve some combat with some deserters right here, get my hands on even more prisoners, which of course we can turn in for a lot of money. But yeah, you want to make your way up this mountain, and this is where you will find a little encampment where you will have a secret with a lot of crowns, some new equipment for your characters. We're going to place a python right here to get back to the prison. I mean, look at my map right now. It's rigged with pythons, which make the travel, once again, so much more efficient. So with the pythons on the right side, we can go to the Ludern region, while to the north we have the Vatrus region, also some contracts. And right now we're basically going to travel to the west. So I'm quickly going to the Tiltron jail to drop off all these prisoners. Anyways, after visiting the prison, I also decided to quickly pay the Mount Altus salt mine a visit once again, because these ores respawn, and I still had one prisoner left, which I wasn't able to turn in, but this one is going to be awesome to quickly pick up a couple more ores. You also want to visit the wealthy farm in the west part of the Tiltron County, as well as the Brotherhood right here, because this is where you can pick up some books early to give your characters some extra skills. Aim, first aid, I think are very nice ones to get your hands on early, while you can also upgrade your weapons and armor right here, but definitely focus on run and first aid in your early days. Anyways, once you're done with the Brotherhood, you can also place a python right here. I recommend it because it's going to be easier to escape from the guard if they're after you. And you also want to finish the quest from this wealthy farm. I mean, what you're going to have to do is talk with this lady, but choose the side of the bad guys once again, because after you've resolved combat with them, you can get a bar of soap as reward. Very important, make sure to choose for the bar of soap reward, because I think it's an awesome one. It will reduce your suspicion when stealing items. Awesome for thievery. So there we get it. The fate of Tiltron completed. But that basically covers everything you want to unlock, get your hands on as quick as possible in the Tiltron County to start very strong in Wartales. On the highest difficulty, we're going to do one more thing right here. So we're using the python from the Brotherhood to travel to this specific location. And this is where you can basically turn around the camera and place 2 more pythons to avoid having to pay for a border pass to get to another region. So that's a second region unlocked, the Arthes region, in which you can do a lot more exploration. I totally recommend you once again to go with adaptive exploration, because it just gives you all the possibilities, access to every single biome from the get-go, and everything scales with your crew. I know this was a lot of information, but if you found it helpful, be sure to leave a like, supports the channel, very much appreciated. But yeah, this is basically what I do in my first days of Wartales, to unlock all the essential characters, secrets, extra knowledge points you will need to make your early days a lot easier for crown farming, get your hands on a lot more food with, of course, the fishing upgrade. But now we also have access to 3 different regions in which we can, of course, do more exploration for even more knowledge points, gather more resources as these respawn from time to time. So having access to all this in just a couple days is awesome, especially for the higher difficulties. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe if you want to stay in the loop with more content. It's entirely free. Right now, I'm just super curious what you guys think about this run. If you decide to use it yourself, share your experience in the comment section. Right now, though, I want to wish you guys an awesome day. Good luck with your adventures in the game. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.